Welcome, everyone, to another Expedia Wine Club Cruises Destination Wine Cruise. We are excited to present Grand Europe Wine Cruise. This is a 14-day adventure on the AmaMora, May 17th through the 31st of 2025. And thank you again for joining us. My name is KK Offray. I'm the Vice President of Sales here for Expedia Wine Club Cruises. And today we are beyond excited to share with you that Paul Wagner, our Senior Wine Advisor for Expedia Wine Club Cruises, will be hosting this cruise along with his friend Tim Gaiser. Welcome, Paul. And can you please tell us a little bit about your relationship between you and Tim?
Sure. Tim and I go back a long, long way. When the Court of Master Sommeliers was first established in the United States, my company was the corporate offices for them. So we knew Tim very early on. And Tim is trained originally as a classical trumpet player. And I was originally trained as a classical guitarist. So while we talk about wine, we end up talking an awful lot about music, although Tim in many ways is more into music than I am. He has broader interests than I do in music. But the end result is we have a wonderful time together, and we will have a wonderful time on this cruise. It's to the point where we know each other's jokes, and half the time we jump ahead and tell the punchline for the other guy. So lots of fun, wonderful guy. Couldn't ask for a better partner on this cruise.
Well, that's really spectacular. And of course, we are traversing across Europe. So we'll have quite a bit of a wine experience on this one, won't we?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I'm really looking forward to this. We'll talk about the specific regions later. But Tim was the education chair for the Court of Master Sommeliers for a number of years. He has probably taught more master sommeliers and advanced sommeliers and intermediate sommeliers than anybody else on the planet. So he's going to share some of that expertise. And then I, of course, take the other tack. Rather than getting into the nitty gritty of tasting wine, what appeals to me is the culture, the wine as an expression of the emotions and the feelings of the people who create it. And so I love telling, as you know, the history, the stories, the amusing anecdotes. It makes for a really good combination of ingredients. And we think each one of these, if I'm talking, Tim will inevitably butt in and either correct me or make some funny crack. And I promise to do the same when he's talking.
Well, I know I've had the pleasure of sailing with you, and it's always so much fun. You're one of our most popular wine hosts just because of the fact that everyone finds something that's so relatable. There's always a story for every adventure, whether it be from the historical aspect or the wine or the region or the people who are making it. So it is going to be a lot of fun. And of
Yeah.
course, everyone, we're talking about this great cruise aboard the AmaMora, 14 nights starting in Amsterdam and going all the way through. Here you see on the map, it's going to be fun. We're going through, of course, from the Netherlands through Germany. We're touching Austria and Hungary. As you see there from the map, it's quite the adventure. There's a great deal of wine to be experienced. And in addition to the wine, of course, we have the wonderful historical destination, the beautiful sights. We are going to start in Amsterdam. We're going to go through the spectacular city of Cologne. I just love going to the cathedral there. In Rudesheim, of course, there's so much to see, but of course to taste as well. Part of our experience is the fact that we are doing more than just seeing. And then we get those historical ports of call like Nuremberg. So whether you want to hear about the trials and things that happened there way back after the war, or if you want to go off and see the lovely gardens and some of the spectacular buildings that are there, that's all your choice. You're going to have so many options. Dürnstein, when I think of Dürnstein and all the amazing things you can do there, in this picture, you can actually see up there at the top of the hill, you can see the ruins. That's where Richard the Lionheart was held captive. But of course, you see the little town that's down below. This is sitting, of course, in the Wachau Valley. That evening, you can go and you can have a fun wine opportunity, but it's also a great social atmosphere, a lot of fun. Melk Abbey is right there. You can also, part of the tour in the afternoon goes to the Abbey. And there was so much gold in the robes that the bishops wore that you see in this Abbey. It's more than the gold that I think I saw in the gold room in the Hermitage. It was just amazing. And of course, you always have the opportunity even to bike along the river. This is right there in the Wachau Valley where you can take a bicycle ride for those of you who are the active travelers. Weather permitting, of course, there's even wine tasting out in the vineyards there. And then, of course, we get onto Passau. One of my favorite things to do is to go out to the bow of the ship. As you can imagine, this is where the confluence of the rivers comes together. This is the Ilz, the Inn, and the Danube River. And you can even walk up the path that you can see there in the picture to the Vesta Oberhaus fortress that's up there at the top. And it overlooks the confluence of the rivers. The river, literally, when you look down from the bow of the ship, there is a clear line in the water of the different colors of the waters as they come together there. It's again brilliant, brilliant. Vienna, Austria. Can I say we all want to go to Vienna? There's so much to see and do from the both historical, musical perspective, the architecture, not to mention all the yummy treats that are along the way. And I know, Paul, that you and I have some favorite treats from Vienna.
Well, Vienna and is soccer tour, and then what you're looking at there is Budapest.
Right
And
now we're in Budapest.
Hungary, of course, makes what is called the King of Wines and the Wine of Kings. And an unexpected treat in Budapest is the lower floor of the central market, which is walking distance from the ship, is full of wonderful pickled vegetables and things, all available. Really wonderful fun. We go there every time we're in Budapest. Just great adventure.
I spend so much time in that market there. As a matter of fact, if we could go back and talk about every one of these ports of call, there's so much to see and do and taste and
Yeah,
experience. It's
yeah.
just a fascinating destination. And yes, we do conclude our cruise here in Budapest. And you're right, that market is one of my favorite things to do. And you know, when we think about the destinations, we also have to remember how we're getting there. And we have chosen AMA Waterways. We could choose any cruise line to place our wine cruises on, but we are very, very passionate about our relationship with AMA Waterways. And there's so many reasons. One of the great ones, of course, is the cuisine. We know that with great wines, you need to have great food. AMA Waterways is part of the Chaîne de Rotisseurs. They're also members of the Tablage Auberge. You're going to find great opportunities for farm to table experiences. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have wonderful things to accommodate for those who have special diets. There's afternoon tapas. There's always that wonderful late night snack. Food is not a short, that's for sure. You also have a chef's table. And this is a complimentary alternative restaurant where it is the open kitchen. You actually get to watch the chef as he prepares all these amazing culinary delights. And it's based on, again, the farm to table, the food sourcing and the integrity that they talk about here is so spectacular because here we are in May in Europe. And that means abundance. Having grown
Yeah.
up in Europe, I'm so excited. You can tell that I just get excited about the things that I can imagine at the farmer's market. And these chefs get to go out and they get to acquire all these great, great treats and bring them back and utilize them as part of our meals. Of
So
course,
true story,
sorry.
KK, is that
Yes.
when we were in Burgundy on AMA one time, my wife and I decided we were going to sneak off early and wander around town before things really, just sort of get a sense of what things were without all the other people. And who do you suppose was getting off at the ship with us? The chefs, because they were hitting the market. We followed them for a while to see where they were going. They were getting all the good stuff. It was really fun to see that.
It is fun to see. And then it's also fun to come back to the ship and see what they actually
Yeah, yeah,
created with
get to eat
everything
it.
that they found. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
The drinks on us, I love this because um, there's wine and beer served complimentary with lunch and dinner and even bubbles for breakfast. But in addition to that, they also have every day a cocktail hour, a sip and sail. And so it's complimentary. And so you really get a sense of the region, you get a sense of the wine, and of course, it's just all yummy and included. We're very delighted to talk about all the shore excursions, which are included. And this is important because many cruise lines talk about how they have shore excursions included. AMA takes it to a whole nother level, and I want to explain a little bit about that. If you can imagine that for every tour, there's complimentary tours in the morning, there's complimentary tours in the afternoon. For each of these, there's a multitude of walking and activity levels. So you could choose the gentle walkers group, which is going to take maybe a slower pace for anybody who's mobility impaired. Or I find that photographers love the gentle walkers because it just slows things down a little bit. You can wander and take some pictures. There's the average walkers, and then there's the active walkers. And that's for somebody who wants to bike, who wants to hike, who wants to climb to the top of that castle where the ruins were. And then they even have the plate risers tour. All of these things are available to you. And that means that the group size suddenly becomes very, very small. So average of 15 to 20 people on a tour, whereas on other river cruise ships, they usually average about 30 to 40. So huge, huge difference. And again, all included.
And
Um,
every day there is also almost every day there is a cycling tour as well. So you start taking those groups and it breaks up into even smaller and smaller groups because there are always a few people who say, I want to go for a bike ride.
Absolutely. Yes. And the bikes are included as well. And you can either use them on a tour, or if they're not being used on a tour, they always have extras and they allow you to just take them out. And they are regular bikes, not the e-bikes, which is really important because the e-bikes they found to just not be safe. One of the things, one of the many things that Ama Waterways is so famous for is their crew. They are so lovely. I'm always so impressed that they really choose them for attitude and then train them for the skill that they need. And it shows through because you're going to find that they are just delightful, very personable, but very professional. So their crew is always award winning. And you're going to be sailing aboard the AmaMora. AmaMora only carries 156 guests total. And you're going to see, however, that there are lovely spacious rooms. There's the great dining areas, the wonderful seating areas where you can, the lounge where you can be comfortable and have a chat with everyone, have that sip of wine, experience some of the wine tastings. There is a small gym for those who are looking to stay fit while you cruise. There's a small pool. And of course, she's known for her double balcony staterooms and or twin balcony staterooms. And what that means is you have a combination of both a step out balcony as well as a French balcony in your room. So lots of great opportunities. And again, I think of May and I look at that top deck and I just know from my personal experience how fun it is to be out there sitting at the top deck, watching the river go by, watching the wonderful scenery on both sides. And on this cruise, you're going to go through the Rhine Gorge,
Yep.
and as you do, you have those beautiful castles up on the hillsides, spectacular scenery, and not to be missed. So I'm very excited for you. I'm almost thinking I might have to go. For those of you who want to stay fit while traveling, there's wonderful yoga on the top deck. There's a stretch class, wonderful ways to stay fit throughout the voyage. And these are those bikes we were talking about. So
There you
there's
go.
always a collection of bikes on board, and you can either use them for the tours or just to kind of take out on your own on some of those places where there's a nice flat area that you can experience along the river. And high-speed internet is included, and it's great because it's so much fun to be sharing all your information with friends at home, all those photographs, all the places that you've been. It is so much fun. But here's what we all want to hear more about, and that is the wine experience. Because as you know, at Expedia Wine Club Cruises, we create wine experiences for wine enthusiasts. And that's why we have the best of hosts, and who other than Paul Wagner and Tim Gaiser. So when it comes to this wine experience, Paul, I know that there's a lot to talk about. So can you give us an idea of a bit more detail maybe of what we might experience?
Well, you mentioned some of it in passing, KK. We start in Amsterdam, and you mentioned we go through Germany. We also go through France. I mean, on one side of the river is France, and that's Alsace. In my mind, if you made me choose only one region in France to both eat the food and drink the wine, I think I'd pick Alsace. So we will have fabulous wines from Alsace and wonderful food. And then we go on the Rhine, which you also mentioned, the Rhine being the heart of the German wine region. In fact, if you think about the wine regions of Germany. You've got the Middle Rhine, you've got Rheinhessen, and you've got the Rheingau, all named for the Rhine. But then the Ahr, the Nache, and the Mosel are all tributaries of the Rhine. So basically, the Rhine is German wine country. And I'm going to say that there are maybe 5 people in America who know as much about German wine as Tim Gaiser does. So yeah, be prepared to really learn from an expert in a wonderful way. He really knows German wine beautifully. And then from there we go, you mentioned the Wachau Valley. That is the premium wine producing region of Austria, famous also, as you may remember, for its apricots. But you also mentioned Vienna, and Vienna is the only capital in Europe that has a designated, basically an AOC, a protected vineyard region inside the city limits of Vienna. So it's the only capital in Europe that produces its own wine as part of its own protected appellation. And most of it will already be drunk by the Viennese because they drink it in the fall, most of it. So by the time we get to May, it's mostly drunk already, but what the heck. And then, as I said, we go to Hungary, which is the home of Tokaj, Tokaj Azu, the king of wines and the wine of kings. Literally today on my news feed, there was a photograph of Pope Francis blessing a bottle of Tokaj Azu from Hungary. The favorite wine of Queen Victoria, the favorite wine of Marie Antoinette. She took Austrian and Hungarian wines to France when she was named Queen of France because she didn't want to have to drink that French crap all the time. So amazing wines in Hungary. So all of that, we get to taste all of those. And then with Tim, we'll certainly do at least one class just on how to taste wine. He has written the book on how to taste wine. It's called Message in the Bottle. And he literally talks you through from picking up the glass, how to hold the glass, what angle to hold. I mean, and I have never seen him do this where people didn't walk away saying, I had no idea that those things can make such a difference. He'll even tell you to look with your eyes in different parts of the room and notice that you're smelling different things while you're doing. I mean, it's neurological. It's sensorial. It is an amazing education and loads of fun. And we'll have two weeks with him. So if you don't get it the first time, you'll get it the second time. And if you do get it the first time, he'll give you more to think about it the second time. And then we, of course, also do all of these wine and food pairings. So maybe we'll have choucroute with our Alsatian Pinot Gris or Riesling. And maybe we'll have something else with our German Rieslings. And then with Austria, we've got Grüner Veltliner. And it just goes on. And the foods are spectacular. As you know, in Vienna, you have to stop and have your Sachertorte. But yeah, all of that's in play, and I expect to enjoy it all.
Oh, that's awesome. And of course, we have the dinners. One of the reasons, again, that we work with Alma Waterways, they are so brilliant at working with us ahead of time. So we talk to the chefs about what we'd like to see paired. We work with them throughout the trip on menus. As they come up with something, they may come out to either you or Tim and say, "Hey, we found this. We're going to add this, and what will that go with?" And I love that collaboration that we
Yep.
have with
Yep.
them. It just elevates the entire experience. And of course, we do that exclusively for our guests. We are very fortunate.
When Tim and I get on the ship, first thing that everyone else does is go to their stateroom and unpack. First thing Tim and I do when we go on the ship is sit down with the chef and talk through the entire menu from beginning to end and say, okay, what are we going to do with this wine? What are we going to do with that wine? And then they go out into the market. They buy what they can buy, and they come back and they say, yeah, it's not going to be chanterelles, it's going to be morels. We say, that'll still work. So yeah, we literally, it's part of the fun of working with Ama, but I can guarantee the food will knock your socks off.
Yeah, it really does.
And
And so,
I do want to add
oh,
one more thing, which is
yeah.
one of the things I love about the Ama Waterways food is the portion size is actually manageable. This is not a cruise ship that believes that massive amounts of potatoes are necessary or a huge chunk of meat is what everybody wants. So in fact, you can actually afford on a calorie level, you can afford to have some of each of the dishes because it's not massive amounts of food. They do watch the portion size so that you can really taste each one of the foods with the wines and enjoy it without having to feel like you have to hold back too much. You will
Well,
put
and
on
I
weight.
love too that if there's something that you particularly love, they're happy to bring you more.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that
Oh yeah. Oh
they
yeah.
are very careful
Absolutely.
about excess, and
Absolutely.
it's oh so good, oh so good.
Yep.
I'm just getting so excited about this trip. I can't wait. And I just hope that you all decide to join us. There is a special promotion going on by March 31st of this year, 24, and you can save 10%. That's a great savings. That's only available for booking by March. So we encourage you to think about this. If you'd like more information, of course, we've talked very briefly about so much. We can go into detail about staterooms. We want to talk to you. We want to answer your questions. I'm delighted to say that Expedia Wine Club Cruises, we are a wholly owned, operated here office in Petaluma, California. We have a wonderful team of highly trained travel professionals who will assist you with all aspects of the trip, whether it be the air or the transfers, the cruise, of course, itself. And this is important because we're not a call center, and you're going to have a specific dedicated person to talk to who will answer all of those questions for you. So, as you want more information, as you'd like more details, I do encourage you to call us. You can reach us at the toll-free number there. You can also email us at wineclub@expediacruises.com. And we are more than happy to have a Zoom call or a FaceTime. There's just nothing quite like being able to see the person that you're talking to, that you're working with, and we encourage that. So please take a moment to reach out to us, and hopefully you can join us on this wonderful adventure, the Grand European Wine Cruise in 2024. So, on behalf of all of our team, and of course, Paul, I encourage you as well to say thank you, and we look forward to answering your questions, and we hope that you join us.
Cheers. Look forward to seeing you on board.